Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Worth Your Time, Worth Your Money, an ongoing series I run here on this channel where I have a look at the opening hours of upcoming and new release games. Now Jump Space has come out, I need to get this video out before the window gets away from me, right? And I have had a mixed reception with this, mixed feelings, which seems to fly in the face of everyone else, from Steam reviews to YouTubers. Everyone's absolutely pouring praise on this, and I will confess that my first impression with this game was fairly negative. I've since then gone back to play with more mates, different mates, to get back in there to see, what could I possibly missing? Don't get me wrong, I don't have to just hold a mainstream opinion like everyone else, but like I said, I was quite bitter after my first opening session with the game. It was long and sluggish, repeated enemies. The gunplay was okay, but a lot of arbitrary instant dungeons, carry 7 batteries from point A to point B. There was a lot of stuff Swiss cheesing together. Performance issues, connection issues, typo problems in mission text and overworld map. But I've since gone back and played, and I've actually had a much better time. It's almost, it would actually seem that after the first few hours playing this, when I stopped, the pacing felt like an absolute slog. Like it was just dragging out. It was kind of longer, boring missions. They weren't hard. They were just time consuming. And my whole group, all of us, were sort of a bit on a negative spiral, feeding into that. And when I came back, it would seem that we'd crossed the threshold into where the game actually decides to become fun. So that is my one real standing criticism, is that the first 3 or 4 hours are a slog. They are poorly paced and boring. And in this gaming market, this economy where people will put down games after 15 minutes and walk away, that's not great. That's something that should be dealt with properly. They need to tighten up the pacing. But when I came back and had a better time, and I'm happy to share, that with you now, that's when more of the ship had opened up. There's sort of a narrative component. You have to repair and unlock parts of the ship that are denied access to you in the beginning. The mission variety started to ramp, the difficulty started to ramp, and then that has a kick-on effect where all the different people in the ship have more things to do, as opposed to just sort of sit there bored while the driver and maybe the gunner fight all the bad guys, that sort of thing. Well, once it started actually ramping, now we're taking damage, now things need repairs, fires need putting out, there are borders coming on, the waves aren't stopping, so maybe you have to jump off and try and start doing the mission. Do you see what I mean? The actual intended gameplay experience started to present itself eventually. So yeah, I do think it's a good game. I really think you need to have a good crew of mates playing it together. I've had some people tell me about their single player experiences. You've got a little helper robot, but I can only assume it's like playing single player bloody Deep Rock Galactic, which is not the intended experience. Even if you can derive some fun from it, the argument probably stands that maybe you should just be playing a fun single player designed game instead, and play this with your friends. Anyway, so that's a little bit of preamble, front loaded. Like I said, it was a bit of a turbulent moment, and I'm happy to walk back my original negative take, though having said all of that, I think the main issue being that it's paced incredibly poorly and slow, where we were finding ourselves going, is this it? Is there only 2 enemy types? Is the only way to reload ammo through these mobile boxes that you have to carry in your inventory and then you have to deploy to the ground and it's very fiddly, and the guns ran out of ammo immediately. And the thing is, what happens is you repair your ship and it opens up a whole chunk where you have ammo dispensers and that weren't part of the original ship, or if they were, we didn't find them, we didn't see them, they weren't so explicit. Who knows how much of this has been patched or changed or anything like that since. And on top of that, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to start fights or beefs or anything like that, but one of the most high profile YouTube videos calling itself a review, heaping praise on this game, is actually an ad. Once you click in it, it's got all the fine print and hashtags and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a confusing time. So this is what I would say, right? Even though I've spent a bit of preamble talking about the dramas surrounding my personal experience with it, I am someone that really enjoys these type of games, these PvE ship management type games with the boys. I've played them all. Even Sea of Thieves I would put into this category, which in many ways is probably the best one, but Void Crew comes to mind. Pulsar as well. Even Carrier Command 2, I keep threatening to put footage up of that or whatever. I've played that recently in the background as well. And I suppose when you're someone that is already swimming in those waters, you be a bit more intense with the scrutiny on jump space. So it's okay. I still think Void Crew is superior, and much of my group does as well. And the main difference and the main pitch when this came on the scene, those two were most clearly compared to each other. And the big talking point around this is that there's shooting, right? There's ADS, first person shooting, and that doesn't really exist in Void Crew. And I still think Void Crew is better. Now, that's not to say the shooting's bad in this, but in many ways, that's what Jump Space is hanging its hat on. It's saying, we've got the first-person shooting, and it's solid, and that's the draw. Whereas personally, when it comes down to these sort of crew management games, I kind of enjoy, well, comparatively, a slightly slower pace to Void Crew. It's still frantic, it's still spinning plates, but the mini-gaming of it and the focus on every man has a job, every repair or power management or what have you has to be done in real time under pressure isn't such a big focus in Jump Space. It's very stop, start. You might have space combat and then you'll board as a crew to, like attack a facility or whatever. And that's when it almost becomes into two separate games. Now you're playing the first person version of the game. And again, these mechanics are solid enough, but I really do feel that the internal design philosophy from this studio was, first person shooting is going to feature big because it's missing from the other games. And I suppose the question was never asked, if Void Crew is still such a good co-op crew management game with barely any first-person shooting, and to a point, I used the Sea of Thieves example as well, apart from, sweaty blokes that try and jump on and tuck and all that sort of stuff, you can have ship-to-ship battles with zero first-person shooting interaction at all. So why do these games work without the, first-person shooting component? Perhaps the answer all along was they don't need that, and that's not necessarily what the draw is. But look, I'm not trying to poo-poo it. Jump Space is having a lot of success and it's being well received, and you could probably argue that there is a chunk of the market that are only really interested in a version of COD in a way, right? Which is a pretty maney position to hold. Sure, cool. So we got first-person shooting with very light crew management, team play underpinning it, and that seems to be a recipe for success. But if you're going in here expecting something like Sea of Thieves, like Void Crew, Carrier Command, Pulsar, where there's a focus on really interesting gameplay mechanics beyond the first person shooter component, you might find yourself a little bit disappointed like I was. See, look, I'll probably keep chipping away at it and giving it a bit of a go. And the real honest earnest position is, if you only play first person shooters, right? Like if you're not necessarily stubborn, but you know what you like, right? You like COD, you're hanging out for the new Battlefield, that sort of stuff. You've got a bunch of mates that want to play something together. This is probably worth picking up if you sit strictly in that crew. But if you're looking for, much more innovative and interesting, almost pioneers of the co-op crew management space, this isn't necessarily it. Its shtick is the shoot-up component, and the ship combat is okay. There's a backup gunner, then there's an ammo load system and all this sort of stuff. And the controls, made some of the blokes in the ship car sick because it flogs around so much. Like it's more twitch reaction than actual deliberate slower gameplay. Anyway, I don't want to go circular, and this wasn't meant to bash it, but to put a bow on it, while I acknowledge that the shooting component is the shtick, is the gimmick, and it's done very well, I also don't necessarily think that that's the secret sauce to this particular type of genre. And I would be very curious, while yes, this is having good success, I do wonder what the overlap between the people that enjoy Jump Space is with people that sit more in my camp that enjoy things like Void Crew. It's not supposed to be a pissing contest or anything like that, but I think you'll find that the Venn diagram only has a little bit of overlap between the two. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.